All right. Is it too small?
It's normal.
Okay, let me start. If it gets too small, then I'll change it. All right. There. All right. Edit for X. So আমি editor X use করব because this is their newer platform.
ভাইয়া এর আগে একটু বলেন তো ওইখানে আপনি দুইটার মধ্যে এইটার মধ্যে গেলেন কেন? আপনি তো উইক্সেও যাইতে পারতেন ডাইরেক্ট।
হ্যাঁ, এটা নতুন প্ল্যাটফর্ম। This is a newer platform.
হ্যাঁ, এখানে তো দুইটাই আছে, এইটাই চুজ করলেন কেন?
কোনখানে দুইটাই আছে?
ঠিক আগে যেটা, হ্যাঁ সরি আসলে ইন্টারাপ্ট করার জন্য। হ্যাঁ,
Yeah, we're choosing this because this is a newer version of Wix, Editor X. This is an older version.
ও আমরা কি তাহলে এই নতুনটা এখন, কিন্তু আমরা তো ওই যে আগের যে প্রজেক্টগুলো করলাম ওইটাও তো এডিটর এক্স দিয়েই করলাম, তাই না?
Yeah, so we are working on the newer version.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
So this is Editor X. To create a new site, I'll start with blank. This is, let's see. Start from scratch. Yeah. Right there. Now, the very first thing I want to do is I want to publish this. Why? Because I want to preview it. Because when I'm working, I want to see the preview. This is probably the best way that I found, easiest way, because Wix editor is so slow. I mean, switching probably this is the best. I'll say my test site. It's going to be the URL. Save and continue. There. It's asking me to upgrade, but I think I'll not upgrade for now. So this is the live site, huh? So this is editor. Let me place this. So what did we do? We just published the site, and this is the published version of it. So obviously it has all these logo, blah, placeholder, 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 placeholder. All right, that's that. Now there are, what is important pieces that we need to understand is we have few controls on the top left and then top right to edit the site and property and all that. In the middle, I'll get to the middle later. I'll show you what this means as I go, but these are the main controls on the left and on the right. First one I want to show you is the layers. So this is the page. Layers means it shows you all these elements. So if you click on something, it shows you this is selected. Okay, let me change the width of the site, the view. So right, this one, my screen size is 2448, which is very wide. Because I have these two panels on the left and right, it's kind of covering the logo. So I want to see the whole thing when I'm working on it. So this is where you can set the width. So you're not setting the website width, you're just showing the viewable area, which means how you would see this website in this resolution. This is exactly what you see. 1300, you'll see it like this. Why do you need this? Because of responsiveness, you want to check in different sizes and width how your content is flowing. That's why it's important. to preview in different sizes to see what it looks. So you can say 1200, you want to see how it looks for 600, right? You can say how it would look, any size pretty much. So I'll set it 1200 for now. All right, that's that. So now you have this control that you know, these are the layers. Let's start doing Cheryl's one. So first of all, this one is the menu, right? So we always need to add menu to the top. To do that, we kind of creates a placeholder already, which is a logo. What is important though, this one is green. It looks green outline. That means it's a template, header and footer. You have two templates. Templates that will show up in all pages. Right, so other than these header and footer, you have section, which we'll work with in a few minutes. But let's change the header a little bit. I'll delete this. Add text, drop in. That's where this is great. I'll say right. Cheryl Wilson. There. And then what did we have? Author, speaker, long-term care expert, blah, blah, blah. So let me add that too. So this one is called, this is your component kind of panel on the top left. So we were in layers, which will show all the layers. But this one is elements, all the elements that you can add. I just added a title. So now I could add, like I need to add the subheading, which is going to be a paragraph. Put it in here. Just type it in. All right, so this one in design, it's a little small. It's actually way smaller. I'll make it small, maybe 12. That's it. There you go. And then we have home, about Cheryl, blog, and everything. So this is the menu. This came with Wix. Manage menu will show all the menus that are available. You can also create menu if you wanted. We'll go with what exists, which is home. We'll create another page. So again, top left, we're going to create a new page. So these are all the elements, and then we showed layers. These are the pages. So I'm going to add a page. See how we have about Cheryl, blog, and FAQ. So I'm just going to add those. Add about Cheryl, blog, and then we're going to have FAQ. Manage menu. By the way, how did it come? When I click on something, it appears, right? For any elements, it shows all the available options. Obviously, this is menu. Let me delete the menu added. Like in case if you ever needed a menu, you could bring it from here. This panel is your everything. This one has a lot, tons of different things that you could add to your page. Quick add. See where it says menu. I can add a menu. There you go. Menu added. I'll say manage menu. This is the menu. Show pages. Page. About Cheryl. Done. So I'm adding all the pages that I have available. Blog, done. Page. Done. So now that it shows up on the top. Now you can change the settings, which means this design, fill color, opacity. We can say background is white, because Cheryl's case it's all white and the text is black. I guess dark gray. That. So let's see if it matches. It does. Right, now we have selected state, which is red. So we can say clicked. Clicked. This one is, we can set a red color. Sorry. Right. And text color. Regular border corners from itself. It should work. Let me publish, let's see if that saves. I don't know, it did not make it cornered for some reason. I have to check it later, but not important for this session. So menu, what did I do? I added it from here. Quick add contains all the elements that people use frequently. And then you have all different kind of assets. These are something that you need to explore yourself. All right. Tanvir, no question so far? Are you mute? Am I online?
Yes, you are. Tanvir, you're on mute.
Tanvir is sleeping. Any questions, Zain?
So far, no, Bhaiya.
হ্যাঁ ভাইয়া আসি
Welcome back. Any question, Tanvir?
না ভাইয়া এগুলা তো পুরান
All right, Egula basics. I think, again, you guys can watch this video later. What I really wanted to show you, I'm not there yet. I just wanted to make sure that you understand the basic controls. Again, reiterating, we have tools over there up on the left, top left, and we have top right. I haven't touched it yet on the top right. What is this one on the right side? So I'll start doing it. And to do that, I think what today's main topic is really how to do something in a way so that it's responsive. So I will show you some tips and tricks and pitfalls. That's the goal of this session. So the rest of the things, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it first, follow carefully, and then I'll explain to you. And then I'll do similar thing over and again, probably a few times. All right, so what is responsiveness, first of all? Responsiveness is, I want to see it in 3 different screen sizes, and the content should fit right in. I don't want to say break. So that's why what Wix does, it has 3 different device sizes on the top middle, you see. So I could click different size screen and see how it looks. What do you think? This one looks okay. This one is already broken. This one is the ugliest now. So the goal of today's session is to show you the tricks and the pitfalls so that you can do something in first shot and it works. Because for these sites and this kind of customers and website, we will not have a lot of time doing it. But also, if we can do it right in the first shot, there's no point trying to fix it because we cannot fix it. This is one of the pitfalls that when people work on Wix, they tend to fix these for mobile, which you could. So for example, I could fix it like this, drag it for mobile, maybe. And then it works here, it works there. But what happened? What happened? I kind of worked on this page specifically that works for this. So the time to do something to make it work in two places is gonna go double. See, it didn't change. I brought it to almost center, but it didn't change on the other one, on mobile. So if I did this, went to mobile, you know, it's just not gonna work. So pitfall one, don't try to fix it on these breakpoints. Like don't click on mobile and, you know, start adding, removing, and, you know, just changing sizes. It's so intriguing. The feature is there if you want it to. Of course, we'll do it at some point, but not in the beginning trying to fix it in mobile manually. Don't touch it. Even if it's there, don't work on these individual versions. Only do the biggest one. Start with the biggest one and then see what it comes out in the small one. But don't change these. Change only on the big screen, like the biggest breakpoints. These are called breakpoints, by the way. This is largest size, this is medium tablet, and this is phone. Is this clear what I'm saying? Anyone? Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about?
Well, I have a question. The thing is,
Yeah.
when we toggle in between the different devices, suppose if we move from mobile to tab, are all the changes reflected in the other devices as well? Suppose I'm making a change in mobile, will it be reflected in tab or something like that? So,
That's a good question. So we want to, because we want to be efficient, we want to do something on one place and we want to see it in all the other breakpoints. That's what I was trying to explain, that we want to see the reflection in all the breakpoints without touching them separately, individually, that this one, I need to move it here. On mobile, I need to move it here. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to do it in one, for example, this one, and I want to see the changes in the other breakpoints. That's the goal. That's the goal of this meeting for next half an hour. We'll try to do that. Okay, so let's start with the menu. We'll try to fix the menu and do it in a way so that it works in all the breakpoints. Let me go back to my So let me go back to my layers. One thing that I want to fix right now is I want to show this menu, top navigation, to all the breakpoints, the same one. So I will click on this and I'll say use on all breakpoints. If I do that, the same changes will be applied on this and this, both. This is how it looks, but we're going to fix it. But the point is, if you want a section to be applied, the design look and feel, all of that, I mean, the configuration or settings, to all the breakpoints, you just say apply to all breakpoints. So let me fix this now. What is my goal? My goal would be Cheryl Wilson will stay on the left. Now it shows up fine. What I want to do is go mobile. See how it broke? So I want to make sure that in mobile, it stays full screen, like it stays in one line. To do that, I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to go back to this one and decide what I'm going to do. So the key to this is if you want to fix a width somewhere, you need to go on the right side. See where it says width 23.3%? There's a percentage. Instead of percent, we'll say pixels. So 300 pixels. So percentage always means your screen width percentage. Pixel means it's going to be fixed. So let me try mobile now. See, it's not breaking anymore. It's a percentage in pixel. Now, I can do the same for this text. I will say this is what it is. And I will, instead of percentage, I'll say fixed pixel because I don't want this to break in mobile. There, you have it. Now see how this is coming out? Like this box is coming out. So we're gonna fix it. How we're gonna fix it? We're gonna reduce the size. There. Go to mobile. Okay, looks good. Now, see where it says more? That's actually the menu. See, this menu is so big. So Wix has a feature that if the menu is big, based on the screen size, it reduces number of elements it shows. So it says more. More just means, I'll show you what more means. Let me publish this and go to this site. So I'll make it smaller. See what's happening? More. More just shows you the menu. So on mobile, we want to show just the hamburger menu, this menu, not the top navigation. When it's big, we know that we want the top navigation. So there is a feature in Wix where you can, again, coming back to this, this is what it looks like in a wider device. Now for mobile, the same menu, see, this is what the menu is. I'm going to hide this menu. From where? There, don't display. If I say don't display, it's not gonna display for this breakpoint. But for this breakpoint, you see the menu is there, even for this one. Because I did not hide them for these two. So remember this, show hide works on breakpoints. If you hide something on a breakpoint, it's gonna be hidden only for that breakpoint. Because I did it for mobile, it's hiding for mobile only. All right. Okay, coming back to this menu. So this menu, before I go to menu, I just want to show you alignment, how alignment works. So these ones, I always want to stay to the left. I want them to stay to the leftmost side. So how do we do this? There are a few alignment icons. See on the top right, if I select something, I can align left, align to the left. So it goes to the left border. Right, I can do the same for this one. Align left. So it did align left. And then if you see the dot dot and you see there's an anchor up there, there's a dots. It just, I'll move it so that you see it. See there's a line on the top and the left. That means that there is a space positioning from the left and from the top, which is on the right. See, it's called margin. So on the left, it has 28.7%. If I set it to pixel, 369 pixel from the left, this margin. Now, if I align left, see, it becomes 0. So it went to the 0th. If I align top, see, it went to the top, right? So the margin is 0 on the top. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is just I'm going to align left. And this one is also aligned left. And all right. Another thing is called stack. Stack is a feature which keeps all these elements together. So for example, I want this text always go with this text. Even if it moves, I want them moved together, not separately. Like right now, I'm moving them separately. But I just want to move them together because they are going in together. So to do that, how you do that? You select both and you just need to say stack. So now they are stacked, which means if I move it now, sorry, probably I was inside this stack. This stack I can move together. Right, that's why it's stacked. And also not only moving together, now if you see the alignment, I can align the stack as a whole. So to group things together, we stack. So I'm going to go top and left. All right. All right, let's see how this one comes. See, it's top left. Works top left. Now see the difference. First time when we did it, it was all over the place. But now it's working because we planned it in a way so that it works in all breakpoints. Okay, so I think in doing all this, one important thing I was trying to do is to avoid these margins. So this is probably the greatest advice I can give. And this is something you guys will have to remember. Always remember this, no matter what you do on the site, make sure that your first preference for any of these elements, these are all zeros. These all should be zeros, almost always, like almost 90% cases. There will be some instances where we would need to give a margin, but our goal would be to try to keep them zero. Why? That's where it becomes responsive. The moment we put a margin of certain pixel, left, right, top, whatever we do, we will lose, most likely we will lose the responsiveness. Now it is possible to have margin with the responsive nature, but it doesn't work well. So again, we are going to touch it. We'll have to touch it some instances, but our goal would be to keep this margin zero. I just want to take a pause. Anybody has any question on this part that I just said that margin needs to be zero? You see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see your screen. But what happens if there's like, if we set margins from beforehand, what happens? Just
Yeah, margin is the last thing we should touch because the moment you add margin, it ruins the responsiveness and it becomes very difficult to do. So this is the tips, right? So pitfall to margin may look right on one breakpoint, but it's gonna ruin the other breakpoints. That's the pitfall. And the tip is, don't try to fix the margin in the first round. Do your site fully, do it full. You know there will be one or two things you need to fix on margin, but keep it at the last. You don't want to deal with margin in the beginning, even if you need it. Don't do margins in the beginning because margin you're doing means you're trying to fix the last few pieces to really fine finish it. Do the fine finishing for the end. Don't add margin in number of pixels or any way if we can. we should never touch margin actually. I'll show you why. I mean, margin, let's do Cheryl's side and see if we ever need the margin. Okay.
I have a question.
Right, so
If in case of text, I mean, like, will it be then rather wiser to use indenting instead of margin?
indent.
Is the
So
better
there is
choice.
another option which is padding. There is no indenting.
Okay. I mean, like, yeah, for graphic padding, for text, I'm saying,
Mhm.
okay.
No, even for text, there's no indenting. Like indenting means padding, margin, same thing. You're giving a space. If you want to give it, we will avoid margin, padding, or any kind of fixed spacing.
Okay.
Yeah, we will work through a system called grids. I'll show you.
Okay, sure.
But we have to remember for now. For
Sure.
now, we have to remember that we should have the margin and padding to 0. That's our goal in the first round when we do it. Otherwise, it will be really troublesome to try to fix it for all these. It's not going to work.
All right.
Okay, so back to stack. So this is our stack. See how it's behaving for different sizes. 1500, 1300, also 2000. So in 2000, you see there is a lot more spacing in there. We want it to be, remember, aligning to the left and then a fixed size. So we're going to do that. So 1300. So maybe this is the right size. So we'll set it to pixel, remember? Pixel is if you want to fix something. So this is, I'm going to set it to 250. There. So now if I go to the other ones, it's going to be 350. And even if I do 2000, so this is 2048 pixel, they still didn't have any padding or anything, right? Because I fixed this stack to 300 pixel in width. Aligned it to the left, align it to the top. Now, if I wanted to, I could align it in the center. See, it's aligned center and all the margins are 0. What is the bad way to do it? The general or default behavior is this. If I wanted to bring it in the middle, I could do it like 15 pixel. There, it's in the middle. 2 ways to do it. You can add margin to the top, 15 pixel, or align it in the center and not have any margin. What is the preference? Tanvir, which one is better? Okay, Zahin, which one is better?
ভাইয়া মনোযোগ দেই নাই আর কি ভাইয়া
Zahin, which one is better?
This part even I skipped. I went for a snack. Sorry.
Good. Is there anyone who knows?
ভাই এই পার্টটা আরেকবার বললে বেটার হতো ভাইয়া বুঝি না অ্যাকচুয়ালি আপনার কথা
Okay, so everybody is sleeping. All right, so this stack, I showed you how to bring something to the middle. So that's middle alignment here. Align to center, middle. But the default behavior is it's usually aligned to the top. So
One question, Bhaia. So you were selecting these, what's it? There was this other option over here on the top under menu, right? So what's happening is when we select different positions over here, we can see that docking is moving. This position part, there's this thing called docking is moving. So we can change it manually as well, right?
Yeah, you can. But focus on what I'm doing. Okay. So left, top, this is the default. Or you can make it top, but add a top margin. Let's say 15 or 12 pixel. that will still bring in the middle. Center align it. So there are two ways to do it. Adding some margin to the top, or I could say align to middle. Which one is better? That's my question.
Alignment is the better.
Why?
কারণ আপনি একটু আগে বলছেন যে আমরা যতক্ষণ না পর্যন্ত মানে সবথেকে বেশি চেষ্টা করব হচ্ছে মার্জিন চেঞ্জ না করতে।
Exactly. Okay, you get the most
ভাইয়া
point.
আমাদের মেইন এইখানে অ্যালাইনমেন্টটা বেটার, এটার একমাত্র কারণ হচ্ছে গিয়ে আমরা চাচ্ছি যে যেটা রেসপন্সিভের জন্য যেই ফরম্যাটটা আছে ওইটাতেই যেন অটো ফিট হয়ে যায়, এই জন্যই আমরা অ্যালাইনমেন্টের কথা বলতেছেন আপনি বারবার, আর মার্জিন অ্যাভয়েড করতে বলতেছেন।
Right, margin avoid করতে বলছি। এটা হচ্ছে আমাদের always will have the goal to have zero margins. We don't
আমি
want
একটা
to do
রিজন
margin.
বলি,
হ্যাঁ, sure.
মানে এখানে যেটা রিজন আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে যে কেন বেটার অ্যালাইনমেন্টটা, সেটা হচ্ছে যে লেটস সে আমরা যদি এই যে মেনুর যে বারটা আছে, যে হেডারের বারটা আছে, এটার হাইটটা যদি আরেকটু ইনক্রিজ করি, তাহলে আর আমাদের যদি এখানে মার্জিন দিয়ে মিডল অ্যালাইন করা থাকে, আপনি যেটা করলেন যে 15 দিলে সেটা মিডল অ্যালাইন হয়ে যাচ্ছে, তো আমরা যদি হাইটটা ইনক্রিজ করি তাহলে কিন্তু সে আর মিডল অ্যালাইন থাকতেছে না, সে টপ থেকে 15 পিক্সেল
You're
নিচে আছে।
almost right.
হ্যাঁ,
You're
বাট
almost
যখন অ্যালাইনমেন্ট করতেছি সে অটোমেটিক্যালি সেটা মিডল অ্যালাইন করে রাখবে অলওয়েজ।
yeah, that's right. You're half right. So if I do align middle, what Shakil is saying, so that everyone knows, if I increase it, see, it stays in the middle. Right, this is what Shakil is saying. And instead of aligning middle, if I said align top and then add margin to the top 12 pixel, what's going to happen is if I increase it, it's not aligned in the middle anymore. That's why it's bad. That's what Shakil is saying. Right, Shakil?
জি ভাইয়া।
So I think for alignment, you could still probably try it to align instead of pixel, you can say percentage. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's see. No, it didn't, because it's a percentage of the height, which doesn't work well. Maybe virtual height will do. VH? No, they don't have a VH for this. Okay, I'll show you. That may work in some cases, but we don't have to focus on that. What's important is, what did we learn? We want to avoid margins. We don't want that. So we'll use alignment there. Solve the problem. Same goes for the menu then. What are we gonna do? Align this, align right. Right, that's it. And then I'll go to the layout, all the menu items. I can say there, align right. Let's see what happened. I want that right. All right, so let's publish it. Let's see it. Load. There, see, sticking to the right. That's what we just did. This is weird. Let me see. Anyway, all right. So I'll reduce this. So I just gave the most important pitfall and tips. The tip is, we're not going to touch the margin. Margin stays 0. Pitfall is trying to fix it on these breakpoints. Don't touch these breakpoints. The moment you touch them, it's just going to be so hard to do. The only thing that you're going to touch in these breakpoints is show height. Right? So for example, on this breakpoint, if If I bring out the layers, if you remember, header menu, I have it hidden there. Right? So that you can do, and that's designed, and you should do it in that way. That's the only way to do it. All right, so now let me add all the other pieces. Next. I will finish it in 12 minutes. I don't want to drag it much.
The whole website in 12 minutes.
No. The website, well, I'm not going to finish it. I think we had some discussion and whatnot. Let's see. Cheryl, found a picture of Cheryl. Just take I don't have the image. I don't have the image right now. I'll just save this image. Cheryl. This is a section. I'll add an image. Click that image. I'll change image. Click media. Click computer. Cheryl. All right, I'll set it to full stretch. So again, this is called a section. So next ones onwards, we will always use sections. Let me show you the layers. We were in header. Now this is a section, so we're editing one section. In this section, I just dropped an image. I'll set it to stretch. Stretch means it's going to take the full size of the section. That's what stretch means. Actually, we should have had a stretched version in the original design. But in the design, seems like it doesn't stretch. It doesn't go full all the way. Maybe there is a width to it. So I'll set it to 1400. Image, I'll unstretch it because I don't want it to take the full width. Let me delete this. So in a section, if you need a confined space, you always a container. All right, tip number 2, these sections they go horizontally, end to end. There is no width to it. It goes all the way. If you need a confined space within this section, you need a panel. Like this is called container. So this container, what I'm gonna do, I will say this needs to be width 100%, right? And then I'll align middle, align center. There you go. There should not be any margin, 0. So see, the pitfall was it was not 0 in the beginning. I had to make it 0. That's the pitfall. Don't try to move around. So you have to go all zeros. And panels, I made it 100% width. Minimum height for now is fine, but maximum width 1400. That will ensure. Hold on, I'll make it. So that's the same. This container, maximum width 14. So there. So see how it's sitting in the middle because I set the width to 1400 pixel maximum. But then I have 100% width. What does that mean? That means if my screen size is way bigger, let's say 2000, I'll set it 2000. Sorry. So this just means even if my screen is 2000 pixels, this will stay 1400. That's what this one is, right? What is the exact size? That's probably you would know from the designer. But the point is that it's going to go full width. until it hits 1400, it's full stop. For example, this one, it takes the full width. Why? Because it's less than 1400. 100% means full. That's what it is. All right, so now we'll go back to the big one. If you remember, we always should work on the biggest breakpoint. And I will add a picture to this. Image. And I will use the stretch. Stretch means it will take the whole space of the panel, whatever I have set. And then I'm going to change image. Home, Cheryl, update. There. Now for these layers, for this section, I want to set a height. There is a minimum height of 500 pixel. We should always avoid pixel. That's another tip. We should always avoid pixels. In this case, viewport height, I will use this one. Viewport height means viewport is where what your screen size height is. So this whole thing, top to bottom. It's almost like 100% height, saying that. So I think height I will set to viewport height, and we'll say 100. So this is the section. And container height percentage 100%. That's the full viewport height. Now if you see this, let's see what this one looks like. I'll take a rough judgment, but in real life, we'll take exact size. So this seems to me like half or a little less. Yeah, I think it's probably 45%. So let's change that. This section, instead of saying 100%, we'll say 45%. There. That's probably right. All right, so in doing so, I'll add a container again because I need to add, remember, listings, right? So within this section, I will add container. I will change design, make the fill color white, and opacity. I think the design has some opacity. There you go. I'll make it 100%. And then I'll make the height so that you can and maximum width. I'll show you another trick later, but let's just do this. This one. So see how it anchors to the top and to the left? We don't want to do that. So we'll go left, center. And again, we will add margins, but we'll talk about it. We'll think about it then if you remember the tips I gave you. Whatever margin work we have, we should not touch it in the beginning. So that's why, following that, now I need to add. So instead of going from add, you just show, this is probably one way to do it. The best way to add something, so I want to add a button. Let's add, and then I can drag it where I want it. But the best way is actually selecting the container and then say quick add. This is the best way. And that way you're not going to mix the layer. So start now. I'll go center. I'll go right. And I'll say L. And this one, blue color. It's red. Next. White. And that color is color green. So, yeah. Last show. Right, started looking about right. That's probably what it is. Center. So that all the margins are 0. Started looking right. Okay. Now I'll add about Cheryl. These two. How am I going to do it? This is an important one. See my layers. This is the section. So what I will do is I will add another section. So sections goes horizontally. So I'll add a new section. Actually, there's a better way to do it. I'll show you. Remember I was saying grid? So this one is, there are 4 pieces to this, seems like, right? These are called grids. In general, I'll tell you more about grids, but I'll give you just this example and finish the session. We will have 2 more meetings, 2 more sessions that I want to show you a few other things. But let's just work on the responsiveness today. I'll just show you the grid and I'll be done in this session. So this is a 4-piece section content, right? This very precise kind of visually you can see it. To do this, we could just do a grid, which means seeing the layout tools, grids. You can do, okay, hold on. Before I do a grid, let me add a section to it. So this is a plus, add a section. You can add a section to the top or the bottom. So I'm adding a bottom section with a grid 4 by 4, 2 by 2. There, 2 by 2, 5. Right. Yeah, I think I made a mistake. I'll show you what. So this grid has 4 kind of areas, 4 sections. But in our design, if you see, even though we have 4, they stop here. They don't go all the way. Remember what we said, if we need something to stop, we need to add a container. So this one I forgot to add a container. So I'm just gonna get rid of the grids, adjust grid, delete grid. I just delete it. But I'm gonna add a container. Sorry. This section, where's quick add container. And this one, same idea, I'm gonna make it 100%. This is a pattern, you see that, right? I did the same thing on the top, 100%, center, center, and then maximum width, I set 1400. So now it will ensure that it's within 1400. Now I can apply 2 by 2 grid there. And shadow. And responsiveness for text. We can set it here. I'll show you in a second. But this one again, middle, center. Actually, it needs to go to the left. That's what the design is, right? It's all left aligned. So I'm going to align left and align top, edit text, left, and button. Just copy it, Control C, Control V works. Yay. And if you remember, let me add it, another thing. We can paragraph. Now I'm going to add it here. And if you remember, same thing as on the menu, what we did, we want to keep them together. So if we want to keep them together, we need to do what? Stack.
Stack.
Who's at it? Gets the point. Okay. As soon as you do stack, they stay together, and within the stack, you can move around things. So this is the stack size. All right. Now, this grid we're going to change now. Why? Because this needs to be responsive, which means, see the content, the grid is, the content is outside the grid. It came out. Why? The grid needs to be responsive. So I'll say adjust grid, edit grid. See if I click on this one, it shows the minimum 100 pixel. I'll just say auto. Done. Let me go to the layers, container, stack. This stack needs to go up left. This is going to be even probably see a tricky part. I'll make it big and then small. This is a bug, by the way, that it's not taking up the whole thing. I'm going to change it back. Well, editor X is their beta, just so that everybody knows. So they have some rough edges. I don't know why it's not doing it, but definitely some issues. Yeah, I know what happened. I'm going to have to delete this grid. Let me apply grid again. Yeah, I just had to delete the grid and apply it again. I don't know why it's doing it, but this is what the outcome should do. Now, if you see this, right, to make it responsive, I see there is an exact size image, right? Responsive is also sometimes you have to compromise what you really want. Not all the time, but to have an exact size is something we always want to avoid. So the ratio is important. Instead of saying pixel, percentage always. Always percentage. So I guess for this, we could always go adjust grid, edit grid. 1 FR means this is just relatively, it's always going to be in the middle. Right, that's what it means. So you could say 2. So it's going to take 2/3. Yeah, 2/3. You can say 3. This one is going to take 3/4, and this one is 1. Right? So that's almost like a percentage. That's true for columns. I'll set it to 1, so 50/50. And then add Cheryl's picture in there. Plus, click add image. There, I stretched it, right, so that it takes up the whole space. Now, this is what we would have to be very careful, like what do we want as the height? So for height, if you remember, we would always want to use viewport height. So let's see if we can do it for column. I've never actually tried viewport height in column. Oh, there, you have it. So I could say, let's see, what is the height? What does it feel like? It's probably 30%.
Yeah, 25 to 30.
So let's set it to 30% viewport height. See if it's done. So that's what I meant when I said for responsiveness, it's always not going to be exact. If you want, you always could do it, but you have to be careful when you try to make something responsive. So this one, for example, if we set it exact width, it may not come well in tablet. So we can still try it, but we'll do it like those kind of adjustments, do it at the end always to see what you can actually do, what you can avoid. For this one's case, I see this is actually in the middle, this whole thing. So I think I'll go back. And this deck, I will align it to the middle and center. Oh, I'll get rid of the borders, by the way. There are some borders. Border, no border. This one also. Border. There. Somehow, right? It's coming together. All right, I went 12 minutes over limit. I want to close this and we'll continue from next 2 sessions. But the session is done, but if anyone wants to stay, you can stay. I'm gonna share the recorded video, upload it somewhere so that you can watch it later.
ভাইয়া একটা ছোট প্রশ্ন ছিল।
So now question.
So the next 2 sessions are also on weeks.
So next 2 session, I will let you guys know what I'm going to cover. In this session, I really wanted to cover the responsiveness and the margin, the tips. But the next I think I will focus on week store and blog, most likely. And for the question out there, sorry, guys, give me a second here.
ভাইয়া প্রোডাক্ট টাইপ আর প্রোডাক্ট সাইজটা কি হবে যখন আমরা উইক্সটাকে ইউজ করব?
Product?
আমরা আমরা কি সাইজের অ্যাপ্লিকেশনের জন্য উইক্সটাকে ইউজ করব? আমরা কি ই-কমার্সের জন্য ইউজ করতে পারবো?
No, we can use it for a lot of different things. So e-commerce, blog, booking system.
এটা কি শেষ পর্যন্ত আমরা হাইলি কাস্টমাইজ করতে পারবো?
We'll talk about customization way after. So I think first 3 sessions, another 2 sessions, I will show you how to build a site with store and blog and make it responsive. And then I'll have another 3 sessions, probably after we're done this round, another 3 sessions about Corvid, programming weeks. So basically close to JavaScript coding. Like how do you customize the behavior? How do you do integrations, third-party integration, create an application, create login, right? Like user pages, user management, permission and roles. Like it can be a full-blown application. But we're not going to cover the application side right now, but we'll cover the basics because for weeks, one thing for sure is there is no concept of front end and back end that you can do separately. So because the editor, there's like you can only one person can work on it at a time. So you cannot really work in parallel. So whoever works on this automation, animation, and the back end, it's going to be one person. I mean, we can do it front end and back end separately. It's just going to take time, I guess. Ekshate kora jabe na, cannot be in parallel. It has to be one after another. But anyway, answer to that, it's coming, not now, not in these 3 sessions, programming weeks. There's going to be another 3 sessions.
The next include CMS as well, right? Maintaining CMS and tables and everything.
Content, yeah. There is CMS, there's content. I'm pretty sure. I think I don't want to cover the full weeks, right? Because weeks you can watch video and do it. I just want to do tips and pitfalls so that you don't get stuck with smaller things. Because what I showed you, if you can follow this, you're gonna save a lot of time. So instead of 50 hours, you'll get something done in 10 hours. If you do it wrong, it will take you quadruple the time. So this is one area. So going forward again, the other 2 other classes, I'll show you how to do it and you'll follow that pattern.
Thank you, Isabel.
You're welcome. Any other question?
হ্যাঁ, আমার কিছু কোশ্চেন ছিল। আমরা কি আমাদের নিজস্ব CSS, HTML, JavaScript কি অ্যাড করতে পারবো নাকি ফ্রন্ট এন্ড?
No. JavaScript we can, but what are you gonna do with JavaScript? So consider you can't. But in the backend you can. Backend is JavaScript, so you can do Node.js code.
আচ্ছা, আমরা কি স্টিকি পজিশন ইউজ করতে পারবো আমাদের হেডার অথবা কোন সেকশনের হেডারের ক্ষেত্রে?
Yep, header and footer, header is sticky, you can do it, yes.
ওকে, আমরা অনেক সময় স্টিকি পজিশনের জন্য আমাদের জাভাস্ক্রিপ্ট দরকার পড়ে, মনে করেন যে একটা সেকশন আসলে আমরা হেডারটাকে আর কি পজিশন করতে চাই অথবা উপরে নিয়ে যেতে চাই, এইসব ক্ষেত্রে আমরা জাভাস্ক্রিপ্ট
I know, I just scroll effect, I can say sticky. I can say fixed.
অ্যাকচুয়ালি উইক্স এর এটা দেখে মানে এডিটর এক্সটা দেখে আমার যতটুকু মনে হয়েছে এটা হচ্ছে আমরা যেটা ম্যানুয়ালি HTML CSS করি সেটার এটা হচ্ছে মানে গুই টাইপের একটা ইয়া আর কি।
Yeah, right. It's exactly that.
এটা পারফেক্টলি HTML CSS এর ফটোশপ বলা যাইতে পারে।
ওইটাই আর কি, মানে GUI তাই আর কি। আমি এখানে মানে এখানে যা করতেছি অ্যাকচুয়ালি তার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডে ওই HTML CSS টাই জেনারেট হচ্ছে।
So here this is the stickiness, right? it on the top. You can do basic. All these are basic. Anyway, আমি feature level yes no question করি, ঠিক আছে? You guys can look around.
আরো কিছু কোশ্চেন ছিল।
ভাইয়া ইচ্ছা করলে কি লিভ নিতে পারি?
কি করতে পারি?
মানে চলে যেতে চাইছিলাম আর কি।
No, you guys all should go. Why are you here?
জি ভাইয়া। হ্যাঁ, আসসালামু আলাইকুম ভাইয়া। থ্যাংক ইউ ভাইয়া।
Okay, no problem. Anybody else?
রেজা ভাই, আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Yes.
Actually, what's the benefits of using Wix over the other CMS?
So whatever we did in an hour, you may not be able to do it in an hour. And in an hour, I stopped half an hour. So I could get this whole page up in an hour.
Okay.
Maybe 2 hours most. But to get this site in 2 hours in CSS, I don't think we can do it.
There are more features. You can add videos and sliders and all other things.
Yes. I think you combine all these features, right? Menu, media, you have video players, video box. There are many things you can do. Gallery and all whatnot.
And it's pretty
So
simple.
what you can do with Wix, it's really fast, right? That's the goal. Anyone else? Any other questions?
আচ্ছা ভাইয়া, এই যে অ্যাঙ্গুলার অথবা ভিউ অথবা রিঅ্যাক্ট এগুলোর তো একটা ফিচার আছে লাইফে। উইক্সের অ্যাকচুয়ালি ক্যারিয়ারের উপর মানে কেমন বেনিফিট পাবো, এটার যদি কিছু একটু বলতেন এই ব্যাপারে।
Career জন্য তো it's a not a Wix question. I don't know if I should answer it, but I'll tell you in one sentence. No knowledge is wasted. How about that? None. No knowledge is wasted. And knowledge is what makes you superior and powerful. So if you know coding JavaScript and code Java, and there's another guy, your colleague, he also knows Java, but you know Photoshop. Photoshop by itself is not great, but who's better now? Who's better now? So anyway, knowledge in general is something that you always need, and this one is so close to what you guys do. For your career, Wix, I think Wix is something you all should know. If you don't know how the positioning works and responsiveness works and how it all works out, how are you going to work with the front end with front end developers and other teams? Anyway, don't want to expand more on it, but yes, there's a lot. Next, any other questions? The other question now you guys can leave as usual. Any other question? I will take that as a no. Thank you for joining. Before you leave, actually, Ami, I will share Cheryl's image tab with you guys. And I think what would be helpful, Zahim, you can delete the past test sites maybe and create test site for everyone who's interested.
Okay, sure, man.
So people who are interested, please send a text to Zahim personally. He's going to create a site for you and give access. And then the goal is work on this. In the next session, we will have a lot of question answer.
Yeah,
And
I will wireframes with you.
Yeah, so we will have a lot of questions. So try this yourself, and then let's see who does by end of session 3, we should have this, have a good grasp of it. All right?
Okay,
Yeah.
All right, guys, bye. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ, আল্লাহ হাফেজ ভাইয়া।
Yes.